Today I'm turning this basic sounding Tofu keyboard into this. So this is a Tofu keyboard build that I did for my girlfriend about a year ago with Gateron black inks on aluminum plate. Now unfortunately I'm not very good at desoldering, so I ended up just getting a new PCB and plate. But before we get to that, I'm going to first be lubing and holy modding the Durock V2 screw-in stabs. The holy mod is pretty simple but can be a little bit tricky, so I would use some thin pliers for this mod. First, you want to cut a tiny strip of fabric band-aid, then using your pliers, wrap the strip around a little ramp inside the stem of the stabilizer. For lubing, I use Krytox 205 grade 0 on the outside of the stem, inside of the housings that meet the stem, and a thick layer on the wires themselves. After this mod, the stabs might feel a little bit mushy for a little bit till you break them in, but after that they should sound super clean. The Durock V2s I got also came with these little washers that I will be using, and my electric screwdriver with a built-in light makes it super easy to install. Link to both of these in the description down below. Be sure to also test your stabs on the PCB to hear for any rattling or pinging that you might need to fix with more lube prior to assembling the rest of the board. Picked up a piece of actual case foam from KBD Fans, and I'm also going to be doing something called the PE foam mod, but we'll get to that in just a second. First, let's do something called the Tempest Tape Mod, where the idea is to use a relatively non-sticky tape like masking tape and cover the back of the PCB entirely. This is said to remove some reverb and to also boost some deeper sounds. It's super quick, super easy, and of course cheap. You can even layer on more tape if you wanted to reduce the reverb even more. Don't forget to also puncture holes for the screws since this is a tray mount board. Now next up is the PE foam mod, where you want to use a layer of PE foam between the plate and PCB. This time you want to puncture holes for each of the big stems of the switches. The pins weren't necessary as they sort of just poke through the foam. For the switches, I'm going with filmed and factory lubed Novelty's silk black switches instead of the Gateron inks on this build previously, because my girlfriend said she preferred the feel of those. Once everything is assembled, it's time to install it back into the case, which brings us to our third and final mod, which is the O-ring mod. I'll leave a link to a great video that shows how this is done more in depth, but you basically place an O-ring on the screw hole in the case and under the screw itself, so it sort of sandwiches the PCB. This emulates a sort of gasket mount feel, and you can create a very bouncy typing experience based on how tight you go with the screws. Now I'm not gonna lie, it is a little bit challenging to line it up at first, and I found that the best way to get the PCB in without messing up the O-rings was to kind of just plop it in straight down. Now while I await GMK Yuru in the mail to complete this build perfectly, I'm going to throw on GMK White on Black and do some before and after sound tests. Now personally, I love the sound and feel much more after doing these mods. It's a lot poppier and provides a super bouncy and flexible typing experience, which she does prefer over the stiffer tray mount. Anyways, that's going to be it for this one. Let me know your thoughts in the description down below, and I will see you in the next one.